everybody, let's talk about how to pass a panel interview. Welcome to Q&A. I am the company's expert, and today we have Mighty Owl who says, could you please make a video regarding interview panel prep? I certainly can. Thank you for the question, Mighty Owl. And also, I have Seth Davis who says, hey, I have a group interview. Do you have any advice for that? In an email, they said they'll be going over what the company does and the open positions, but I'd still like to be more prepared. It's for a financial planning firm that helps people with their personal finance, if that helps. Yes, thank you very much, Seth Davis. Let's get into this. Okay, the first thing everybody has to remember about a panel interview is that it's really basically just exactly the same thing as a regular interview. Okay, if you're doing a one-on-one interview and an interviewer is asking you questions, it's pretty much going to be the same as if 4 or 5 or even more people are asking you questions. It really doesn't matter. It's just a cosmetic difference, okay? I've gotten questions like this before, but I haven't answered them really for that reason. You don't have to worry. You don't have to overthink it. Like anything else, if you have prepared for the job interview, you've rehearsed a few times, you've maybe even done it with a partner of some kind, a helper, a buddy, and you know the answers to common job interview questions and, all this kind of stuff, you should be fine, okay? Now, having said that, there are a couple of very minor differences, okay, with a panel interview, and I think people freak out about these. There's really no need to, okay? First of all, if you know the different people who are going to be at your interview, if you know their names, and maybe you might even know their job titles, okay? Like I always recommend, look them up on LinkedIn. See if you can find their profile, because hopefully that'll tell you their background, their education. It helps knowing if somebody is an HR rep as opposed to the owner of the company or someone who is a machine operator. It helps to know who you're talking to so you can tailor your answers and you can speak in their terms as much as possible. Okay, so doing that helps. Okay, so if you're dealing with a panel of people, you might have a little bit more preparation to do, but it's really not a problem. Okay, but take the trouble to do this if you know the people that are going to be there. The other thing is that some people stress and they worry about, if you're introduced to 5 people, how are you going to remember their names? How are you going to keep track of who's who? And this kind of thing. Okay, so something that really has helped me in the past when I'm doing meetings or interviews with multiple people, okay, is getting everyone's business card. Because on the business card, it says their name, it says their title, it says who they are, and it even says what company they work for if you're dealing with people that, work for different companies, which does happen. Sometimes you'll get people from the company that you're interviewing for, and other people present may be HR reps that work for a third-party HR firm that does recruiting, so they might be there. And you might even get consultants and contractors and things like this that are at job interviews. This is a thing. So that helps too. Now, how do you get them to give you your card? Well, it helps to have your own business card, okay? Now, don't freak out if you don't. This is actually very simple. For the equivalent of $15 US, you can send away for some really highly professional business cards. You design them yourself, and then you have these, and you have hundreds of these. And every time you go to a job interview or any other kind of job-related event, like a job fair or something, it's nice to have a bunch of business cards in your pocket, and you just hand these out. So when you get into the room with the interviewers, you shake, if you're shaking hands, you shake their hand and you say hello. And then immediately thereafter, you start giving out your business cards. And this is a cue for people who have business cards to immediately give you theirs. Okay, so then you have a bunch of business cards. If you don't do that, or if they don't have business cards or something, it helps being able to write their name down on a piece of paper that you have in front of you on the table or on the desk that you're sitting at, okay? That sometimes can help too. I personally am absolutely terrible with names. It's a very bad trait, but I'm terrible with names, and so I actually have to do this. Usually I get business cards, but writing down names can help. So apart from that, it's pretty much the same thing. Now, just as a sort of ending here, I think a far more interesting aspect to this, okay, is why a lot of organizations do panel interviews. Now, in my personal experience, having done many of these and been on kind of both sides of it, it's interesting because it seems that a panel interview can mean either a really good thing or it can mean a really bad thing, in that it tells you something about the organization that is interviewing you for a job, okay? Now, on the good side, it could mean that the people that are at the interview are very friendly, very inclusive, and they want to involve each other in this process as a matter of courtesy. Maybe it's not a group decision, but the person that's initiating this wants to include other people because it may affect them, you know, who they end up hiring. That person would have to work with multiple managers or something. So as a matter of courtesy, they bring other managers to the interview and say, you know, you're welcome to sit in and give me your 2 cents, you know, just as a courtesy. So it can indicate a very friendly place, a very good work environment, you know, positive corporate culture, all that kind of stuff, right? And I've seen that, okay? Alternatively, it can actually signal a few negative things, okay? It can signal that maybe if this is a very large organization and you have large organization culture, which generally means that people don't have a lot of initiative and they don't have a lot of authority, and they're kind of scared to make a decision lest it backfire and they be held responsible, okay? If it's a large organization and you're not at the very top, you're kind of in the middle somewhere, it can be a bad thing. It can signal that people are afraid to make a decision. It's a decision by committee, and nobody wants to stick their neck out and decide who they're going to hire. They want other people involved in that decision so that if anything goes wrong, they can always turn around afterwards and say, well, hey, if it was a problem, you should have said something too, so you can't pin this on me. So I think that's interesting. That is the motivation behind a lot of organizations that do panel interviews. Certainly not all of them, but some of them certainly do that, and it tells you something about the organization. So that really doesn't affect anything you do. You don't have to freak out about it. You don't have to be nervous. You just say hello to 4 people instead of 1, and then you proceed as normal. The only difference is that the questions will not be coming from one person. They will be perhaps going in rotation from these people, okay? So don't worry, it's actually perfectly straightforward. Apart from remembering everyone's name and maybe doing a little extra work ahead of time, it's really, it's a straightforward, simple job interview in essence, okay? So thank you very much. Hopefully that was helpful. You guys are awesome. Thank you for watching, and I will see you on the next video. Take care.